Thank you. And believe me, when I tell you my story, it's nothing special. You know, I did it for love of country and for love of the city that I live and I actually grew up in. I was a lifelong Democrat. I joined the Democratic Party, I'm going to say, back in 1994, probably. And came to my senses last year when I walked away from the Democrat Party. Now, a lot of people are going to tell me, why did you walk away? I walked away, and one of the reasons, and I was just talking to a very dear friend of mine who's here today, and what I was telling her is, you know, we are told, especially in the Dominican community, once you become a citizen, join the Democratic Party. And that's why 90% of Dominicans probably are Democrats. We're just being told automatically because the Democratic Party has the best interest for us. All right? And, you know, I believed it up until last year when I saw the lies of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, they promised us something, yet they keep going further and further and further to the left, to the point that, look what's happening today in New York. We're about to elect a socialist to the highest office in New York City, and that is unacceptable. Now, why is it important that you have a Dominican person up here? You know, we're immigrants, you know, we kind of, you know, come to this country, we work, we try to be part of the fabric of this city. It is because 1 out of every 8 people that live in New York City right now is Dominican. We are the largest immigrant group in New York City. Yet 90% of us is a Democrat. And they don't even know why they're Democrats. I was talking to somebody yesterday, which I'm trying to get them to walk away. And I was telling them, listen, you know, why are you a Democrat? And, you know, he couldn't tell me. He's complaining that he's, you know, worried about the socialist movement that's going to take place in New York City. And I asked him, why are you a Democrat? And I told him, you know what? You are a Republican. You don't know why. And I went through certain reasons. You know, men and women spaces. We don't want, you know, we don't want men and women sports. It's common sense. You know, we have, you know, and believe me, this is not an anti-gay speech. You know, a lot of my friends are from the LGBT community, and I love the LGBT community. But even my friends in the LGBT community say, you know, there's certain things that are going too far left. The Dominican Republic is being inundated right now by Venezuelans and Cubans. Nothing against Venezuelans and Cubans, but why are they coming to the Dominican Republic? What's happening in Cuba and Venezuela, and I believe we're going to have somebody speak a little more about that later on, but why are they coming to the Dominican Republic? Because socialism took over their countries, and they're running away from that. And that's something that we do not want in New York City, because it starts in New York City and it takes over the entire United States of America. All right? And that's not why we came to the United States of America. We came to the United States of America because we believe in hard work, and hard work you get compensated, just like I did. My name is Sammy Ravello. I am a very proud Republican right now. I walked away from the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party no longer represents what I believe in. Thank you very much.
Sorry, wearing multiple hats today. So our next speaker today, listen. So our effort is not just about doing events in New York City. We've been doing these rallies, we've been doing canvassing, we've been going out and engaging with New Yorkers, but it's also going to be a ground game of outreach, and that's what we're doing. So we're trying to assemble the largest ground game here to get people out. We need to be texting, making phone calls, knocking on doors, and engaging with New Yorkers all over the city. We've got 4.7 million active registered voters in New York City, and typically the turnout for these elections, the voter turnout is around 21 to 23%. But as I've said many, many times before, we have the eyes of the nation on this race. We can drive voter turnout much higher than that, and we will. I believe that Zoran Mamdani will not get more than 500,000 votes. I don't believe it. But if we can turn out record turnout, even if nobody drops out of the race, he cannot win. So it is a matter of trying to get as many active voters out to vote in this election. And part of my canvassing effort, we're going to introduce Tony Shoup from Audit the Vote PA, who is partnering with me in our outreach effort to save New York City. So please welcome to the stage Tony Shoup from Audit the Vote PA.
It is an honor to be here with you in New York. I am from Pennsylvania. I am not a New York resident. You don't have to cheer for that, but I want to give you some hope today and share a little bit of my story with you so that you can understand one person can make an enormous difference. I call myself the poster child for what's wrong with America because I found myself when COVID happened in my early 40s. I've been married almost 20 years. I have 3 daughters at home I was raising, and I thought I was doing my civic duty of just raising my family, taking my kids to church, keeping them in a private school so they wouldn't get indoctrinated by the quote-unquote system. And when the governor shut the schools down in Pennsylvania, I woke up. And I started paying attention to what was going on around me and realizing that I had been brainwashed my entire life to think I was doing the right things. But evil was lurking right in front of our faces and we didn't even see it. And so I got active. I took a Constitution class in the fall of 2020 from Patriot Academy that completely blew my mind. I could not believe how much Americans did not know. Did you know that 70% of Americans can't even name the 3 branches of government? And before you laugh at that, think, can you do it? Did you know that? Awesome. 80%, thank you, can't name more than one of the 5 freedoms in the First Amendment. Can you name them? And when I discovered this, I got filled with so much hope because I thought, this is the problem. We just need education, not indoctrination. We just need to get out and engage with people one-on-one in a loving and compassionate and civil discourse type of way and educate them on what their rights are. We can come together. And so I put about 4,000 people through Constitution classes since 2020. Well, thank you. You can clap for that. And I also have my own nonprofit down there. Brandon mentioned it, called Audit the Vote PA, because when the 2020 election happened in Pennsylvania, I sensed that something went wrong. And I wasn't alone. I had 2 other ladies that we banded together after they inaugurated Joe Biden, and we said we need to get some answers. We saw crazy stuff happen on election night, and we are not okay with just sweeping this under the rug. And so 4 months into 2021, we got 120,000 signatures on a petition for a full forensic audit of the election, which we never did get, so I hesitate to clap about that. But we did build a ground game in Pennsylvania with volunteers across all 67 counties. And now I have such a reach there that the only reason anyone listens to me or have any pull is because they know I can send an email out to 90,000 people and their offices are going to get flooded with phone calls and emails, and we are not going to just lay down and take this. And I'm hoping to bring that to New York City. Will you join me? If you're willing to join me, we would love for you to come over to the table and sign our volunteer agreement and help us. We're going to be canvassing in the park, just engaging with people very peacefully, asking them if they know that there's an election coming up on November 4th with a 21-23% turnout. I have found that most people that we need to get out the vote don't even know that there is an election for mayor on November 4th. So the first thing is to ask them, did you know there's an election? And did you know it's kind of important? And then also we've got talking points to arm yourselves. We have got rack cards with information for you to engage with those voters and explain to them why democratic socialism is so dangerous. It has never worked, ever. It's been tried thousands of years. All of recorded human history has tried it. It's even been tried in America before. It never works. It's dangerous, and we have to spread that message so we can get the turnout. The winner of this election, based on the numbers from the 3 previous cycles, is going to get around 750,000 votes. I agree with Brandon. If we can keep Zohran Mamdani under the 500,000 vote margin, we absolutely can defeat him. Do you believe it? Yeah! Thank you. I'm going to leave you with one inspiring story. Come see us at the table and volunteer with us. We're going to canvass in the park today. I'm going to 3 bullet points, really simple of how to do it, connecting with your fellow man, encouraging them to come out on November 4th and following up with them. I'm going to leave you with a story because I became a history buff when I woke up to all of this. I'm going to tell you something you probably don't know. A lot of people say to Brandon, well, I hear this too in Pennsylvania, why are you bothering? What's the point? It's too late. The deep state's taken over. It's just too big. It's too infiltrated. We're never going to win. Well, I bet that you never heard this story before. We had a president in the 1800s, John Quincy Adams. He became president, and after his presidential term, he actually did something that no other presidential candidate or elected official has done. He ran for Congress. I want you to think about that. A president, you're done serving your term. He ran for the United States House, Congress. Why did he do that? Because he was a staunch abolitionist. He was very against slavery, as I'm sure you guys are too. Yes? And he thought that he could make a difference if he went back into Congress, and he was going to advocate for that, and he did. He spent 13 years arguing on the House floor with the current Congress at the time that was very pro-slavery, so much so that they even tried to put a gag order on him. They passed the John Quincy Adams gag order bill to stop him from talking. See, we think censorship is new. We think our country has never seen it before. Folks, that was in the early 1800s. Shortly after the Constitution was ratified in 1787, here we are, they're trying to silence an elected congressman, former president, because they don't like what he was saying on the House floor. This is nothing new, and we've got this. I'll tell you why. John Quincy Adams died. He had a stroke on the House floor, never seeing the abolition of slavery come to pass. But guess who he mentored for one term that was a young man? Abraham Lincoln. And he taught Abraham Lincoln his three-prong approach to eliminating slavery. And he died having a stroke on the House floor in the 1800s, but that young man went on to become the first Republican president, by the way, and ended up ending slavery. You can clap for that. And John Quincy Adams, when he was asked, I'll close with this, when he was asked on the House floor of Washington, D.C., or I'm sorry, the Capitol steps, a reporter asked him, "Why do you keep doing this? They're slandering you, they're gagging you, you're not getting anywhere. Why do you keep doing this?" He said, "Because duty is ours. Results are God's." Duty is ours. Results are God's. That's why we take this fight on in New York City, you guys. It doesn't, yes, I believe we're gonna win, but it doesn't matter if we win or lose. Duty is ours, results are God's. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome up to the stage next Brandon Castro, New York State Committeeman Brandon Castro. Welcome up here.
Is everyone having a good time today or what? Let's go make some noise, everybody. So to those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Brandon Castro. I am a former candidate for state assembly in Queens. I got around 40%. We knocked on over 19,000 doors, and I got over 12,000 votes. And that takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of work. We earn every single vote. But why I'm up here today? Because when you have something to say, silence is a lie. That is a very vital quote. Because what's been happening here, especially with the college campuses, people want to talk. People have a lot of different ideas and thoughts. And yet what is going on here is that a lot of the far leftists, they can't stand us. They don't even want to have a conversation with us. They cannot even look at us. But we will welcome them in to have a conversation with us, to tell them why we are here. Our job is to track the average person, the one who's probably moderate left, the ones who actively care about the local policies, the ones who care to make change. Not the ones who are brainwashed, not the ones who can't even stand to look at our faces. But good always triumphs bad. And why we are all here today, this is not a left versus right thing. This is us gathering together to make sure that we continue to have conversations. That is what Charlie Kirk said, and that's what we're going to continue on doing every single day. And so, well, we have to encourage people. Whenever people go up here to speak, they're very scared. Not only for their livelihoods, careers, jobs, this is a huge risk. Not even to run for office, but to speak their mind. And why is that such a huge risk? Because of how our youth are raised, how our college campuses are formed, and how society is also formed. We have to continue allowing people to speak. How many people here have friends that are perhaps on the left wing? Probably most of us, right? But if you're to ask some of the far leftists, they blocked them, ostracized them, sent them to the theoretical gulags, and we cannot have that anymore. We have to tell people my age. I just graduated from college in 2023, and so I was around several peers. I got maybe canceled maybe 4 or 5 times. I didn't really give a damn, but each time I came back stronger. I literally ran for office, got around 40%, and I'm going to continue growing the local party and teach people to have a conversation. I'm sick sick and tired of them trying to silence us. I don't care if they don't agree with half the stuff that I have to say. Just have a conversation with me. I was born from immigrant parents from a Hispanic household, and what we were taught is to work hard, stand up straight, talk loud, and to speak your mind. And that goes regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of color. That's the American way, that's the conservative way, that's the human way. They always talk about human this, human that. The human way is having conversations with people that you don't like. And that's what we are all here today. This is the bluest part in the entire city. We're in Washington Square Park. If you walk around, it's as clear as day, and guess what? I will shake each and every one of their hands, but if I even try to do that, they'll spit in my face. That is just the truth. And I am a person of color too, and they will do the very same thing to me and each and every one of you. But thankfully, that's a very small group of people. Now, I've been a registered, I've been like a conservative ever since high school. So I never walked away because frame one, I was immediately registered. But I'm encouraging my entire family, my friends, hey, just have conversations, talk to people, and you will understand why there's a left wing and why there's a right wing, and why when it comes time to vote, they have to vote against socialism. Mamdani is not allowed to win. He cannot win. And we cannot do that without each and every one of you. If each and every one of you have 5, 10, 20 friends and family, tell them why it's dangerous to vote for him. Listen, all these things that he's trying to promise, none of that stuff is free. That stuff costs money. And guess who's going to be paying for that? All of us. All of us. All the hard-working families, the small business owners, the ones who live, breathe, and die America. They are the ones who are working their asses off, trying their best to afford a livelihood in education for each and every one of us, including me. Without them working hard, I will not be here speaking in front of each and every one of you right now. So there's a lot of things that we can come to agree on here, but we have to encourage, not the radical left, but the average person who cares to have a conversation, why you should not be voting for Zoran, and why you have to continue not only to support the conservatives. I don't have to like what the national GOP says. I don't have to like what the city GOP says. But what I have to understand is that these are human beings that want to run, that want to make change, and it's person over party each and every time. Each and every time. So what are we standing up against, everybody? Socialism, right? We cannot allow that to win. And Mamdani cannot win, he will not win, but that cannot happen without each and every one of you here. I see a lot of my peers. There's a lot of people that I don't agree with half the stuff that they have to say, but I will shake their hand today, tomorrow, next week, next year, every single day until the day that I am dead. That is what Charlie Kirk did. That's what each and every one of you can and will do. And that's why I support this organization. That's why socialism must go. And that's why we must continue to fight back and stand up straight and never back down, everybody. And never back down.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, was announced 10 minutes ago. Eric Adams has dropped out of the mayoral race. Eric Adams has dropped out of the mayoral race. This race is not over. This race is not over.
Freeman's got to drop out now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the breaking news. All right, we're going to welcome up to the stage next Dwayne Moore. Dwayne.
Freeman's got to go.
He's right here. Breaking news! All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dwayne Moore.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out today, and also thank our men and women in uniform for being out here on this beautiful day in Washington Square Park. Because we're not going to let our city fall to socialism, communism, right? We're not going to let them take our freedom of speech, right? We have the right to speak up, and we're going to do that. And a little bit about me and my background. My family has been in this country since at least the 1700s. After I graduated college, I worked as a teacher in Newark, New Jersey, New York, and also in Texas. I got to work in entertainment as an actor and model, and I also got to run for office. So in short, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. When my ancestors were praying to God for freedom, they wished they could do the things that I was able to do in this country. And that's only because we're in the United States of America, the best country on earth, right? And And we want to keep our country in the heartbeat, New York City, as the top in the world, meaning we cannot let it fall to socialism. And for those listening, I want to give you a very logical argument, because you may disagree, but there's proof in the pudding as to why socialism and communism doesn't work. And I'll give you the argument as to how it has failed the black community in this country. So as I said, my family has been in this country since at least the 1700s. I don't know American history just through a textbook, which is propaganda, but I know it through family history, which is most important. And I know that even though there were struggles, we were able to own businesses. We had our own self-performing schools, graduating scientists, architects. We had thriving communities. Actually, most of the communities you look at right now in Chicago, in New York, Philadelphia, that are now plagued with crime used to be thriving middle-class black neighborhoods. So how did we get here today? Socialism. It started with Martin Luther King Jr. towards the end of his life, saying that he wanted democratic socialism. The same things Mamdani is saying today. Universal basic income. The government's supposed to do this. The government's supposed to do that. No, because we are the government. That's the thing. We are the government. The government is not this own independent thing. The government is only as good as we make it. Meaning if Apple was to collapse as a company, you know how many millions of people would lose their jobs? We would probably turn into a third world country tomorrow if our top companies were to collapse. None of them were created by socialism and communism. What communism does is says, how can I redistribute what you have? Meaning, how can I take it and seize it for myself? If you want to see the contradiction, Zoran Mamdani is against private ownerships of homes, but yet he owns private property in Uganda. Ask him how many free homes he's built in Uganda. 0. AOC is against people taking private jets and wants to tax everybody. But yet as soon as she became a millionaire, she's on private jets. AOC, well, I'll go to Bernie Sanders, owns 3 homes, advocated for the opening of the border for our taxpayer dollars to pay for it. Ask him how many migrants he's taken in. 0. But we have spent over $100 billion on open borders. Thank you for your attention, sir. As I was saying, so going back to the black community, what did we do? We turned in our businesses for EBT cards, saying that it's not about what we could do for ourselves, it's based on the government. We decentralized the family and said it's not about my own efforts and how I take care of my kid, it's about the schools and what the government does. And forgetting that we are the government. And this is why when you look at the black community, the wealth gap has grown since the 60s. It hasn't decreased. But yet we spent over $30 trillion on the same welfare programs that Mamdani wants to quadruple. And if you want to see that spending money doesn't just work, New York State has a population lower than Florida by about 5 million people. But yet their state budget is half as large, but yet they have a lower unemployment rate, they have a better educational ranking, and they have a higher, better affordable cost of living. Sir, you can go take your nonsense to Florida as well. You're free to do it if you want. Exactly, to continue. I'm encouraging you. Saying that you could do it in Florida as well, because the American conservative way isn't about limiting freedom of speech, it's about opening it to everybody. And when we allow socialists and communists to define us and call us fascists and we're evil, to where we can't even have the substantive conversations on the policies, they win. Let's look at the Democratic Socialists of America on their website. This is the same party that Mamdani is endorsed by. They say they want to seize our top companies. So think about Facebook, Apple, our auto industry, seized by the government. The same government they say is racist, they want to run everything. How does that make sense? And by the way, these are publicly traded companies where if you want to invest in it, you can profit. When the government owns it, that goes away. Look at Ilhan Omar. I'll say this. The beautiful part about this country is you are able to come from anywhere in the world and thrive and be celebrated. Even being a refugee as herself fleeing war is able to come here and be elected into Congress and now be worth over $30 million. I guess capitalism works very well when you are a socialist, I guess, right? If she's so into redistributing everybody else's wealth, why is she worth 30 million? Why is it that Zoran Mamdani was able to live in subsidized housing, which the taxpayers are paying for, but yet he owns property in Uganda. His parents are wealthy. His mom did a film with Denzel Washington. But yet he is able to live in subsidized housing on our taxpayer dollars. And this is not hate. I think Zoran Mamdani is a very smooth, articulate candidate. But it doesn't mean that just because you seem nice, your policies are nice, or you're advocating for me. So this is why I want everyone to think logically. Let's remove the hate. Let's separate the Democrat, Republican. Let's just go policy for policy, which I'll be glad to go with anyone. I'll be sitting here later. If you want to get into a debate, if you believe in freedom of speech, we'll be here later because we don't run. We don't run. I'm all for the smoke, as you see. But this is the time we're going to talk about the policies, and we're going to show that if you want to support socialism and communism, you can go to Venezuela and under Maduro. You can go to Cuba. Name a thriving country. You come here as an immigrant, aren't even a citizen for 10 years, and now you got all the answers to fix our country. Where? Is it working in Uganda? Uganda, 40% of the population lives on $2.15 a day. If anybody needed free housing, it's Uganda. So this is the contradiction that we want to talk about. We want to protect our freedoms. We want our kids to be able to live in a safe country. We want our kids to grow up in a place where they can own a home, not live off of the government, as so many in my community has. Because you want to be optimistic to know that you can achieve the American dream. You can do whatever you want. And together, when we stand up against socialism, communism, we debate, we stand firm for our American values, God-given, we will win. Thank you so much, everyone.
You know, I gotta say, every single time that Dwayne Moore speaks, white liberals show up and scream at him. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it absolutely astounding that they hate it when a black man thinks for himself and speaks for himself?
That's identity politics.
Why do white liberals hate it when black people speak for themselves, think for themselves, and use their own independence and their own agency? Why is that? Why is that? It's amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, come around. Because I have some things I need to... Come on, please.
He's not even registered to vote in the next election.
Come on back. It's fine. They're allowed to be here. In fact, we want you to be here. And stick around for the debate.
He's not even registered.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about the fact that Eric Adams dropped out of the race. We've already covered that. But I wanted to say, did you guys hear the news? Did you guys get the news? It's big news. Did you guys get it? The news is that we're giving up. We're quitting. Did you guys get the news? Oh, well, I'm sorry. I guess I'm shocked. I'm surprised because last week I started getting barrages of text messages and people reaching out to me and saying the race is over. We're done. We're quitting. We're giving up. That was the news I got last week, and I thought that was really weird. Because I started doing the math in my head and I thought, that's really strange that we're giving up because the election is 5.5 weeks away. 5.5 weeks away, and I started thinking to myself, all the things that could happen in 5.5 weeks, including people dropping out of the race, including possible scandal that could break from Zoran Mamdani, could be anything. Or what about if we spent the next 5.5 weeks building a ground game and getting out and talking to as many voters in New York City as we possibly can to educate them about the dangers of the socialist agenda and the dangerous threat that New York City faces, and we got them to wake up, get them registered to vote, get them educated, and make sure that they have a plan to vote on November 4th. What if we did that? What if we didn't quit? What if we didn't give up? How about that? I am so tired of being a part of a political party that is in constant reaction mode, that is always reacting instead of being proactive. We are reactive. We are never proactive. Everything is always, we wait until it's too late, and then we look back in retrospect and say, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we stop the left when we had a chance? We have a chance now. It is not too late to defeat Zoran Mamdani. We have plenty of time. I am so tired of hearing the defeatist attitude. I'm tired of the defeatist energy. I cannot take it anymore. Look, I don't want to make this about my personal problems in my personal life. I'm going to make one singular reference and then I'm moving on. Many of you know I had a very serious family tragedy this week, right? Okay, so I had to fly back to Nebraska, where I come from. We buried my brother 2 days ago. Very, very tragic death. We buried my brother. I could have stayed back in Nebraska and been with my mom and dad. I could have stayed there and been with my relatives and my family. I could have stayed there and continued to console my family and console them in their grief. But I know that this fight for New York City is so important. We cannot waste time. I buried my brother 2 days ago, and yesterday I jumped on an airplane back to New York City. I told my team we're not canceling any events, we're not canceling any outreach, we're not canceling any canvassing. We're going to continue to work because we have no time to waste. Why would I do this if I didn't know in my gut that we can win? Why would I do that? I could have stayed and been with my family, but I came back because I know that we can and we will win. Now listen, there are 3 pillars of Zoran Mamdani that I want every person in the, look, if you are a college kid in this park, if you are a Mamdani supporter, I see some of you over there nodding your heads, yes you are. I want you to think about 3 things. A lot of people are worried about the socialist policies, the socialist agenda. Yes, that's a big problem. That's a serious problem. But there are 3 pillars. There are 3 pillars that I am concerned about. It's policies, it's rhetoric, and it is a radicalized movement. We know about the policies. We know these policies will not only not work, but they will actually make the lives much, much worse of the people that Zoran Mamdani claims he wants to help. You cannot have the government give you housing, groceries, transportation, electricity, and expect that you will have any quality of life. We know this. Democratic socialism takes vulnerable people and lies to them. You have been lied to, sir. You have been lied to. But it is not just the policies of Zoran Mamdani that concern me. It is the rhetoric. If we allow people like Zoran Mamdani to have the pulpit and the microphone, the highest level in New York City, day in and day out, you think Barack Obama was bad? You think Barack Obama and the division that he created in this country and the spike in racism, the spike in all of the division between all of us, you think that was bad? Amen. Wait until we give the microphone to Zoran Mamdani and day in and day out we hear about white supremacy, white privilege, racism, bigotry. We hear about Nazis, that we're all Nazis, that we're all racist. Wait until you hear the anti-Semitism, the anti-Jewish rhetoric that comes from this man and this office. If you are a Jewish New Yorker, you are right to be terrified of what is going on right now. And you would be damn smart to make today the day that you leave a party that has been radicalized by Marxists, socialists, and communists who hate you. That is what the Democrat Party is today. Absolutely. And that leads me to the 3rd pillar, which is a radicalized movement. I have traveled this country for more than 7 years. More than 7 years, I have gone to almost every state in the nation. We have talked to nearly every type of community that there is. And despite the lies of Democrats and the lies of Marxists and socialists and communists, Walkaway loves all people. We love our Black community. We love our Hispanic community. We love our Jewish community. We love our Asian community. We love our Middle Eastern communities. We love the LGBT community. We love everybody. But we love them enough to say that we're not going to lie to you and make false promises that are going to make your lives markedly worse. We will not do it. I have traveled this country for 7 years talking to these communities. Nearly every event that I have is either protested or violently shut down, or the Marxist Antifa, the radical left shows up, physically assaults people, spits on people, and somehow miraculously they're always presented as the victims in the media. It's always the big bad racist bigoted walkaway campaign that showed up with a message of more freedom, more choice, more opportunity. If you are any type of American, please do not support the radical left agenda. We are trying to offer you more freedom, more hope, more opportunity. We are trying to offer you more of what America has to offer as the radical left wishes to take your rights away and give the government more power. But what we have seen time and time again is this radicalized leftist movement feels entitled to show up and destroy and to vandalize, to commit acts of violence. And now recently we have seen multiple attempts to kill us.
Stop killing us!
Stop killing us! Stop killing us! Please, stop killing us! Stop supporting a movement that is all about radicalization and violence.
You're making promises, but you don't deliver.
If you're concerned about not delivering on promises, I would be very concerned about voting for Zoran Mamdani, because he will not be able to deliver on a single promise that he is making the people of New York City. And he will collapse our economy, and he will collapse the housing market, he will collapse the grocery stores in low-income neighborhoods where people need food most. If you're worried about unkept promises, worry about the Democrats' socialist agenda. That's what you need to be worried about. But I am telling you, it's not just the policies, it is also the rhetoric, and that rhetoric leads to violence. Violence from a radicalized Marxist movement that has been brainwashed and misinformed into hating people like you and me, hating capitalism, hating our Constitution, and hating all that is great in America. We cannot and we must not allow this to happen. We must not. Eric Adams has dropped out of the race. I spent the last week with people telling me it's over, the election's over, we're gonna lose. What's the point? Why are we doing this? This is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. This is a game changer. And I do believe that we will end up in a 1-against-1 race. And listen, if you're out there right now and you're allowing the polls to demoralize you, if that is what you are allowing, then why don't you listen to the polls that clearly tell us that we have paths to victory? There are still polls coming out that say that we can defeat Zoran Mamdani. So stop listening. Stop listening to the media, stop listening to the polls. All they want to do is demoralize you and make you quit. We cannot be demoralized. If there's any lesson we want to learn from the energy and the momentum that has been built since the absolutely tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, it is that the time is now for Americans to stand up and be unsilent. I've been saying this for 7 years. It is time for the silent majority to become unsilent. And that is why we are uniting New Yorkers all across the political spectrum. I don't care if you are a Republican, I don't care if you're an independent, a libertarian, I don't even care if you don't want to walk away from the Democratic Party. I'm asking you to agree with us on one simple thing. Socialism and communism has no place in America, and we will not allow it to happen. Let me hear you, ladies and gentlemen. Will we allow socialism and communism? We will not. 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 I will close out today by saying what I say at the end of every speech I have given you for the last 2 months. We can and we will defeat Zoran Mamdani. Thank you, New York! We've got 5 weeks left. Let's do this thing. Let's take it home. USA! 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 The awkward part about being a speaker and an MC is that you give a fiery speech and then you have to introduce the next person. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, let me please introduce our friend who's been joining us for these events for several months. Amazing man. Please welcome Joseph Hernandez, mayoral candidate.
because you heard it from his seat.
Okay, my guy screwed up. I have to be honest. I usually walk into Mama Said Knock You Out, but LL Cool J, but you know, that was good. Thank you guys. Hello, New York. So amazing to be here with all of you in the world's greatest city. I am so honored to be here to tell you a little bit of my story and my desire to, with your blessing, operate this city. I would be honored to take the reins of the city and clean it up because it does need a cleanup. But first of all, before we go there, I want to make two comments. First, I want to thank Brandon. He is a true patriot. My condolences to him. He lost a family member. He was still here. He made it here because he has such belief in America and what we're doing, the message we're trying to get across, especially to young people, that it's okay to love your country. It's okay to respect the police. It is okay to sing the national anthem. It is okay to love this amazing country. It's okay. The other comment I want to make is about Eric Adams.
It's okay to suck it.
Irrespective, hey, have some class, buddy.
It's okay to suck it.
Why don't you have some class? Have some class. I'll debate you, whatever you want. I'll give you a microphone after I talk. How's that? And then you can get cute, okay? How's that? All right, let me say about Eric Adams something, okay? I don't care whether you like his politics or not. That man was a cop, which is a freaking hard job. You should thank those people that are over there. That is a thankless job. They need our respect. They have no support from our politicians, and they do the hardest job, which is to keep this city in law and order, which is a very difficult job because you have a lot of dummies like this guy over here who want to violate the law. But what I want to say about Eric Adams is, what I want to say about Eric Adams is that he came from nothing. He was raised by a single mom. He's got dyslexia. And yet, he became mayor of this city. So whatever you think about his politics, you can only do that in America and in this city. So he needs some respect for that. And he's got my respect. Okay, so let me tell you a little story about myself. So I am a Cuban immigrant. I came to this country at the age of 7. You couldn't afford my suit, buddy. I guarantee you. Let me tell you, I came to this country at the age of 7 with nothing. My dad was a political prisoner in Cuba. I know what communism looks like. I know what socialism looks like. I remember standing in line with my mother for hours to get our food on a ration stamp. That is socialism. That is communism. I also know what it's like to have your local political communists speak poorly about you and send you to prison, which is what happened to my father. He served 7 years in prison because the communist government did not like him, did not like his ideology. But let me tell you, it's okay. I came here at the age of 7 with nothing. My dad washed dishes. My mom cleaned houses. But they taught us a couple of important lessons. They said, you know what? In this country, you have to work hard because you have to. You have to get educated because that's your ticket out of here. You have to love this adopted country because it's giving you an opportunity that your own country didn't give you.
Absolutely.
And then they said, there's going to be a point in your life where you're going to have to repay that debt to this great society that gave you the opportunity to be who you are. And that moment for me is right now. I am raising my hand. I'm hanging up my corporate hat for a few years to clean up the city, and then I'm going to go back to work because that's what the founding fathers wanted. They wanted a citizen politician, somebody that lives amongst us, goes out, serves the community, and then goes back to society.
Exactly.
When a politician says to me, I've been in public life for 30 years, I want to puke. It is disgusting. That means you can't do anything else. You've done nothing else in your life. And by the way, I'd like not to be critical of people, but the current leading candidate in New York City has done nothing. No operational experience, has done absolutely nothing. He's about to take over a 300,000 person corporation with a $120 billion budget. I wouldn't give that to him if my life depended on that. And it's going to be a catastrophe. I really believe it's going to be a catastrophe. I hope he doesn't win for a lot of different reasons. But I think if he takes over the city is in a lot of trouble.
He hasn't had a job in his life.
Let me also talk a little bit about my plan for the city. So as I said, I came here, I got educated, I went to the best schools. Because of my hard work and because of my devotion, I was able to go to Ivy League schools. I went to Yale, I went to Oxford. I'm highly educated. I have the talents to be able to run the city. And I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just saying that you could only do it in this country. A little immigrant kid who came here at the age of 7, whose dad washed dishes and his mom cleaned apartments, could get highly educated, bring 5 companies public on NASDAQ, ring the bell. I just rang the bell 3 weeks ago. That only happens in America. And the people that hate America, I just don't understand. Everybody around the world that I go, when you go to Africa or India, there are little kids that want to come to this country to live out their dreams. We are so lucky. The chances of you being in this country, being in America, is less than 1%. Think about that. You won the lottery just being in this country. Just being in this country, you won the lottery. Be thankful for that. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I want to do for the city because that's really important. That's my policy. Three major pushes. The first one is law and order. This city needs law and order. The trains are not safe. Our streets are not safe. Unfortunately, our cops arrest people and the people walk right out of the door. It's a revolving door of justice because our prosecutors are weak and they're lightweight and they do not want to enforce the law in the city. I have a plan. I'm going to hire 10,000 new police officers. That's my goal. Yes. I'm going to bring in the federal prosecutors. So the local prosecutors that are not doing their job, we're going to take that role away from them. We're going to let the federal prosecutors do their job and put these people in prison. There is no parole in federal prison, by the way, and their conviction rate is 90%. So good luck committing crime in the city. I'm also going to bring artificial intelligence. I am a technologist. That's what I built my career. I'm a scientist. We focus heavily on artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is what the electricity was of the 1800s. It is about to transform our lives. New York City should be leading in artificial intelligence. We should be educating the next generation of kids in Harlem and the Bronx about artificial intelligence so they can shape the future of the world and not live in this cycle of poverty. We've got to do something about that. Plus, we can use artificial intelligence to deal with criminality, to deal with the cleanliness of our city, to address potholes, to do all the critical things we need, and we can do that pretty inexpensively. The third point I want to bring here, and it's one that's resonated, it's probably the reason why Zoran has so much support, and that is New York City is expensive. He is absolutely right. New York City has become an expensive city, especially in housing. But the way to solve that problem is not rent-free or free buses. That does nothing. I think Zoran read the Marxist Manifesto, but forgot to read a book on economics. What solves problems in economics is supply and demand. You've got to increase the supply in this city. New York City has a vacancy rate that's 1.4%. The national average is 7%. That means we need 152,000 new housing units here to get us to the national level. I have a plan for that, a 3-pronged plan strategy that within 2 years we're gonna release the apartments that are in warehousing. We're gonna convert office spaces into apartments, and then we're gonna work with developers to use land that the city owns. The city owns 1,400 lots that can be built on today. We're gonna work with developers to build houses so that we can provide housing for our police, for our firemen, for our teacher that cannot afford to live in the city. And we're gonna solve that. We're gonna do that very quickly. Anyway, I want to end it with something which is really important, and that is that while we are New Yorkers and we're all from different places, different races, what makes us special in New York City is that we're all different. We have 170 different cultures in the city, and the one thing that holds us together is that we're New Yorkers and we love the city. I encourage you guys, please look for unity. It's easy to divide. Politicians love to divide us on religion and economics and whatever not. I think our secret weapon as New Yorkers is that unity always gets New York through the hardest time. So please, think about that when you go down the street today. Shake the hand of your ideological enemy, because that will make a difference. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Joseph Hernandez. Our last speaker for today, and then we're going to have our debate table like we've been doing. We're back at it. We didn't do it in Queens a couple of weeks ago, but we're back doing it again today because we will not be stopped and the conversation has to happen, has to move forward. But we did think ahead and actually got a tent this time, so we're not just going to bake in the sun. But my last speaker today, and then stick around, we'll listen to some music, dance around a little bit, and then we'll get the debate kicked off. Please welcome DVS.
All right.
I'm just blind here.
Love you guys.
So my name is DVS 7.0, or Sean. I'm a Christian conservative Latino activist rapper. Real quick, how many Latino Republicans we have over here? Shout out. How many gay Republicans do we have here? Let's go way from the back. Way from the back. How many black Republican conservatives? Asians, where are Asians at? Let's go. So, how many Jews we got over here? All right, well, my point is, they've been lying to you. They've been lying to you all along. I am a Dominican myself. I am the son of 2 immigrant parents who came here legally. We have all kinds of colors and different styles of people here, and you don't see any of us being racist toward each other or condescending toward each other. We're all just part of the truth. That's all it is. Americans, exactly. And one of the fun things I learned that I really looked into at one point is that this country was founded on Christian principles, and in fact, all 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were all Christians of some form, whether Quaker, Christian, Protestant. All 56 signers had some form of Christian religious affiliation. But then on top of that, one of the things that they all signed to, and basically in agreement to, was that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. That was the founding fathers. And in fact, since then, we have become the most successful country in the history of the world to be the freest in the world. Yet we have people. USA! 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 Yet in this country we have all these people that talk so bad about this country but won't leave. They say we're a bunch of racists, we're a bunch of this, we're a bunch of that, yet they won't leave. And we're not telling you to leave, I mean, unless you want to. If it's so bad, go to where it's better, which you ain't gonna find. This is the best, freest, most powerful, most successful country in the history of the world for everyone, of every nation, every country. Everyone is welcome here. And in fact, this is not a white place. This is a place of diversity. And we are the most, not only that, we are the most diverse country in the history of the world. We're the ones that accept everyone. But we have a moral code to us that kind of brought us to this place of being so successful in freedom and loving the Creator of heaven and earth. For example, the first black senators in Congress were all Republican. They were Republican. Abraham Lincoln, Republican. He freed the slaves. So here's what a lot of people understand. We broke away from the British Empire and worked our way towards breaking the norm. Prior to America, there was slavery all over the world, including black slavery against blacks. Blacks being enslaved by blacks. But slavery was kind of a part of the system, how things worked prior to us breaking away through so many decades, little by little being the most successful at doing it. And today we are free, where, like Hernandez said, he takes his hat off to Eric Adams. He grew up from nothing, dyslexia, became mayor. Those are the things available to all of us. They keep trying to make us believe that there's some limitation because of a color. Yet the people who are trying to make us believe that are colored and at the top of the game. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Adams became the mayor, and according to him, he's basically New York Messiah. I don't like the guy for nothing. I can't stand him. But he became mayor because this country allowed that kind of thing. because we are free. And the people who are trying to put us, make us think differently, are literally the richest people in the world. I mean, look at AOC, or like he said, Ilhan Omar, or Bernie Sanders, or Gavin Newsom. Look at all these people. They're rich. They're dead rich. They're millionaires. And they're acting as if they're the enemies, as if these millionaires are the enemies. Oh, the top 1%. And all of this nonsense that they talk about. Meanwhile, that's them. They are that. I like to call them that one friend who steals from you and helps you look for what he stole. That's what they are. That's what the Democratic Party is. That one friend who steals from you and helps you look for it. They're the masters of reverse psychology. They're the masters of giving us the labels that they are themselves so that they can clear their faces and obscure and blur the reality. They are what they call us. They are the fascists. They are the bigots. They are the racists. They are literally the party of the KKK. Literally. They're literally the party of the KKK. Who shot JFK? Who shot Malcolm X? Who shot Martin Luther King? Who shot Charlie Kirk? Okay, it's the people that are changing and willing to talk. In fact, the best description, the very best description that we have in modern times right now of what the definition of the Democratic Party is what happened to Charlie Kirk. A man who only wanted to speak. He only wanted to have a conversation and gave you a microphone to bring your ideas and talk about what you believe and see if we can come to common ground. And yet he had to be killed because they don't like when you talk. They don't like when the truth is being spoken because the truth hurts. But if you could hear it, it hurts in such a way that it heals. It hurts in such a way that it heals. The truth hurts, but it heals if you could just let it. And that's what they won't allow. They won't allow this dialogue. I have conversations throughout so many rallies in the past 8 years, going to rally after rally after rally after rally, and I go through all these rallies and a lot of, you know, these BLM rallies or all of these Democrat rallies, socialist rallies. I go to all these rallies and I can go through 80% of the crowd, and I do it, and I say, why is it that you, why don't you agree with us? Because they're racist. They have no, they're one-trick ponies. They have no answer. They can't sit there and have a discussion. They can't tell you why they believe what they believe. And it's because the media is very powerful. The media has pushed ideas to you that make you angry, and you don't know what you're angry about. But when you can't answer, and you know that you can't, when somebody puts you on the spot, you can't answer. You say, oh, I can't answer, but I know somebody else can. Yet that other somebody else that you think can answer, they also can't. And it's a domino effect of people, of a huge, enormous mass of people that cannot answer. They have no response, I promise you. As God is my witness, there is no response. There is no education to the reason why you are so against us. All we want to do is talk. What happened when Charlie Kirk was murdered? There was no fires, there were no riots, there was no violence, there was no chaos, there was none of that. And this is literally one of our most treasured humans in this party. And yet, here we are at peace. Here we are just talking still. Here we are ready in front of all these buildings that they could be pointing right at us to shoot us, and we don't give a damn. You know why? Because from here, my destination is at the right hand of the Father, right next to Jesus Christ. That's what's next for us. And that is what Charlie believed, and he believed it to the point of death. And he wasn't afraid of it. Right now, Charlie is living his best life. That is what we hope for. That is what we push for. We push for the truth, even if it kills us. My life is my price, the way James O'Keefe says it. But this is what we have to all, if you're a Democrat, liberal, we still love you. We still want and welcome you to come here. In fact, we have registration forms for you to register to vote. Whether it's vote Republican or vote Democrat, whatever you want to vote, we're here to register you. But we are here with open arms to have a conversation and ask you, why is it that you're okay with all of the things that they told you happened and then turned out to did it. Did you know that Donald Trump sued MSNBC, ABC, CNN, and won because they actually